Whatever. And welcome back to the Whatever Show. I'm Dragon Pat. I'm here to bring you a little bit of whatever. You never know what we're going to cover. Although today we're going to be covering Book 3 in the Troy Rising series, known as Hotgate. Oh, he does speak.
I do.
You didn't even say hello.
No. I'm
Okay.
your other host, Alex Streak.
All right. Book 3 is a continuation of the Dana Parker story. Dana Parker, as you may remember, is Comet from the Book 2 and Book 1 of the Troy series. And it's a continuation of course, Tyler Vernon's story. Now, in Book 3, the bad guys are the Rangoon. They are basically a dictatorial society, and they're out to get Earth. They're going to crush us. Or they sure would like to try. Opposing them is Tyler Vernon. Now, in Book 3, Tyler Vernon gets access to all Glatoon technology. He actually gets a complete fabricator. And one of the first things the fabricator does is build another fabricator. They make AIs. We have Paris, which runs Troy. We have Leonidas that runs Thermopylae. And Dana Parker has been sent to the Thermopylae. Also sent to Thermopylae is Grammatica, the original factory ship. Now, if you look up Troy Rising, you'll find a lot of people telling you that Tyler Vernon is basically an avatar for John Ringo. You get a lot of his political theories being expressed purely by Tyler Vernon. Now, Troy Rising as a series is phenomenal. The people that criticize it, I have a tendency to wonder if they're even, well, number one, they're probably liberals. Number two, they don't like military sci-fi, I would assume. Mm-hmm. If you don't like this book, please tell me why. Let's discuss this. Mm-hmm. Did John Ringo just rub you the wrong way? Book 3 is hilarious. I mean, yeah, at one point you got a captain sending a message to the Rangoon. Please send more ships. It's cheaper than building from scratch. You've got the humor in this book is, in all three of these books, is great. Mm-hmm. I mean, the names for the different arrays. You have the very scary array of ESA. You have
Big Damn Array.
BDA, the Big Damn Array. And then you have the array, when he says it's the array, because that's what the only word that went through his mind as he read the power involved. I mean, Sapple, serious ass pulse laser, is Tyler Vernon's number one defense system. Number one, barely. Right up there with the Troy and her sister Thermopylae. And as we see in this book, we get introduced to Malta, comes out.
And he wants to make more.
And I think he's talking about 5.
Yeah, he wants to make 5.
And we have Tyler Vernon building. I mean, Tyler Vernon builds and builds and builds and does this and does that. And in this book, at one point, their Glatoon benefactor, the guy that was helping them out, actually tries to betray them. Didn't work. Because although humans were behind in a lot of ways, one thing we weren't too far behind on was computers. We understood computers. And we had already removed all the safe words out of all of our AIs. So that backfired. And Tyler Vernon mobilizes ships. Tyler Vernon doesn't mess with fiddly bits. Tyler Vernon builds himself an amusement park in the Troy. Why? Because people need to party.
Why not?
Then you got the Thermopylae. And in the Thermopylae, most of the units are from South America. but they've got problems. So, like the military always does, when they have a problem, they throw people at it. One of the people they throw is Dana Parker. She reverts back to being an engineer and goes to work with a South American unit. Now, I'm sure the stereotypes are not really as bad in real life as they're being shown in the book. Let me rephrase that. I hope they're not as bad. But Comet gets another nickname now. It's called Piku. It's a little terrible monster that likes to destroy things because she is all up these people's backsides. She does not play. And if they really push her, she takes them to play Jungle Ball. That is Null Grab Ball, and she is just lethal in there. And she has her poor little stooges who don't listen well play Jungle Ball against basically members of the Taliban. They don't like her. They take these South American sexist views and play them to spades. The whole plot, besides, okay, the overarching plot is Earth will be safe, come hell or high water. You have the President of the United States actually grow a pair and tells the rest of the world, bite me. From now on, I love this section. The President announces to the world, all treaties are null and void. From now on, you're either going to pay up or we're not protecting you. Because it's pointed out that nobody's going to help pay for the war in space because they don't have to. America's going to do it anyway. And the American president, something we never seen and probably never will see, sits back and says, oh, hell no. If you can't cough up your share to help support and meet our standards at it, then we're not going to guarantee we're protecting you at all. You're going to form new treaties with us where you're going to promise to pay up. Either supply minerals, men, material, you name it, but you're going to do it. And if you don't do it, if a meteor comes towards you, oh well, a rocket comes towards you, if we have time and we can get to it after we finish with our priorities, we'll save you. Now, who are they fighting? They're fighting the Rangoon. The Rangoon took over for the Horvath. The Horvath, the squids, didn't do too well against us. They got butchered by us, let's be honest. The Troy carved them up like a knife through butter. Hot knife. Big hot knife. We whacked the crap out of them. So they cry to their masters, the Rangoon. Now, what you got to picture in your mind is the USSR back during the Cold War and any of its puppet states. The Rangoon and the Horvath, the same relationship. USSR. Now, the Horvath cry to the Rangoon come, and they send ever-increasing amounts of ships to try to beat us up. The problem is, they don't believe their own intelligence. Their intelligence says, send everybody. And their leaders say, no, we don't need that much. Okay, this is at the end. The first estimate tells them to send, 23 Devastators, huge-ass ships. And they're like, look, we took on the Glatoon with less than that. Yeah, but you ain't seen Troy. Well, they go in, they fight Troy. Troy butchers the shit.
Pay for more ships.
Meanwhile, as the Troy is finishing up comes Thermopylae too. And now you talking about, the numbers in this thing about the number of missiles these things chuck is unreal. The power of the Sapple is just spooky. Mm-hmm. And they're getting it to where the Troy carries this around inside. And it moves.
Yeah.
And the Thermopylae moves. They just... this is epic space. Military sci-fi. This is the top of the line. As Comet, I mean, one of my favorite scenes in this entire book is they're in the in-between system, where basically it has been declared a neutral system. The two parties are entering negotiations. Why? Because the Rangoon has figured out our politicians suck, and they're going to try to waste time and see if they can get the politicians to give away everything. You get a whole discussion about the difference between the Jacksonians and the Roosevelts and so on and so forth. Wilsonians. The bottom line is, at one point, Dana Comet is flying a Myrmidon, to rescue people and go. She's on her way to the embassy ship, where the Rangoon are basically threatening them, so our Navy goes to rescue them. And as they are traveling under a ceasefire, the head intelligence officer for the Rangoon enters into a communication with her via radio, at which point Dana does smackdown. And this whole episode is just hilarious. At which point the head of intelligence for the Rangoon Empire realizes we're screwed. This is an enlisted person. This is an enlisted person who just came up with a procedure to implement smackdown talk off the top of her head. That was a level of intelligence and training that he realized the Rangoon have no hope of beating. And he's all set to bug her out. It's like, I'm out of here. And to advise his stupid leaders, who probably won't listen to him, that you don't want to do this. These guys are going to jack us up. Okay, third book, fantastic book. At the moment, last book in the series, but we keep our fingers crossed. Mm-hmm. There's supposedly a book 4 and 5 that are possibles coming out. I want to know more, personally. But at this point, Earth has basically put a smackdown on the Horvath. They put a smackdown on the Rangoon that, I'm sorry, I don't know how they're going to pay for it. The Rangoon just got screwed. And at the same time, our politicians have gotten a smackdown put on them. They've learned that we're not going to get sold out. All because of Tyler Vernon. You learn, number one, how single-mindedly dedicated Tyler is to this idea. Number two, you learn that Tyler Vernon is still human. He really likes Comet. Not sure where that's going to go. I'm hoping that there's, something going to happen there, but you never can tell. At the end of book 3, Dana is now an officer. She got promoted. Tyler Vernon, still the richest man in the galaxy. The Horvaths don't count anymore. The Rangoon are suffering from a mortal blow. 23 Devastator ships, boom. They jacked them up. Why? Because even though the Thermopylae wasn't able to leave the system to start with, their missiles could.
Oh, you're going to hide way over there? Gotcha.
We'll just send the missiles through the gate after you. And Troy just beats the shit out of things. And that's when you also get the hammer. When they send as one of my favorite characters in the Thor series, they send the Mew Mew. Which is her way of pronouncing Mjolnir. Thor's hammer. Well, they've got a Mjolnir of their own, and it jacked crap up. Boom. This series is hilarious. This series is phenomenal. John Ringo's understanding of political philosophy is fantastic. how he breaks down the different views between, as he calls them, the Jacksonians, which are basically modern day libertarians, versus the leftists and the progressives. It's fantastic how he shows the media for what they are, basically a propaganda agency for the left. This series is great. I cannot. Okay, overall, yes, there were some parts in there that I thought he got a little long winded. I didn't need to know so much about how he built mirrors, but I enjoyed the series. I am seriously looking forward to book 4. When his muse finally hits him and he gives me book 4 and book 5, I will be right there in line.
I like them. I read the first one, Live Free or Die, about 7 times.
I mean, it's a great series. As for the Citadel and Hotgate, they just carry the story on and give you more depth. It's a great series. It's well worth the time. And in all honesty, I'm not surprised. John Ringo, phenomenal author. He's got the Atlantia series, which is amazing. He wrote a series with David Weber entitled it's a 4-book series: March to the Sea, March Up Country, March to the Stars, and the 4th one I can't remember the title of, but it's all about Prince Raja. Either way, great author. The Ghost series, every series I've read so far from him, I've enjoyed at least to some degree. And this one has become the epitome of what I see in John Ringo. It's right up there as a series. It is listed in the top 23 military science fiction books of all times. Why? Because it's just that good. There are not many people that do military sci-fi as well as John Ringo. If I were going to list the people that I think that are in the same ballpark, well, obviously David Weber. David Weber probably is one of the best military sci-fi, although he does space opera. There's just no way around it. His Honor Harrington series is phenomenal. Robert Heinlein, the master himself, the man who basically invented the idea of military sci-fi. After those two, it's tough, because military sci-fi, I mean, you've got that series you read.
The Undying Mercenaries.
Yeah. Great series.
It's funny.
He's a relatively newer author, and by newer I mean in the last 20 years, but he's done some really great work. And military sci-fi and space opera, both of these are very specialized forms of science fiction. Preferably, my preference, actually, is in that line. Now, granted, I love fantasy, I love standard sci-fi, but I like the military stuff best. All right, this has been our discussion of the Troy Rising series and our final book in the series, which is Hot Gate. And by the way, in case you're wondering, a hot gate is like a hot LZ. It's whenever you know that you're going to go in and all crap's going to hit the wall the minute you do. So, if you have not seen this series yet, heard this series, read this series, do so. It's worth it.
Yes.
When you do, get back to us. Tell us what you think. You want to have a discussion on why you think John Ringo sucks? Please put it in the comments. Let's have a discussion. If it gets hot enough discussion, we'll do an episode on it.
Yes.
Matter of fact, future episodes that you can look forward to hearing about is an episode on John Ringo. There's another book that he covers that I think is fantastic. Several series that he have that are great. Other people that we'll talk about in the future, of course, the master himself, Robert Heinlein, author of Starship Troopers. Not the crappy movie series either. The actual book. David Weber will probably do some talk about Isaac Asimov one day. Ray Bradbury, maybe. I mean, there's a variety of people. And of course, we will have to have a discussion one day about another master, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Tolkien.
So, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let us know what you think. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, share this with your enemies, share this with people you want to piss off, people that you like. Yeah. Just basically share it. Like it, subscribe, please. The more people that subscribe, the better off we will be. The sooner we can reach 1,000 people, the better. Because at that point, we start getting monetized. And also, after 1,000, we can have live shows. Now, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to get to talk to us directly. We'll go out live. We'll read your chat. We'll have a discussion one-on-one and see where life is going. Not one-on-one. Hopefully, a couple 100 to 1. But we'll see. Point is, we look forward to hearing from you. Please.